And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. This is our May edition, and we're coming to you live from the Digital Media Center here at Southern Oregon University on May the 12th. It's a Tuesday night. We're live here at 6 o'clock. Thank you all for joining us, or if you're tuning in throughout the next month before our June show, catching us on one of the replays or online on our YouTube Oregon Real Estate Show channel. Good to have you aboard. It's great to be with you. Have a MarketWatch segment coming up tonight. Pete Belcastro has this month off. He's got a little personal time that he's taking care of this evening, so we're going to cover the hour for him, and we've got a good program lined up for you. As usual, we're going to give you a MarketWatch update on what the real estate market in Southern Oregon is doing. It's doing a lot. The title companies are busy. The appraisers are busy. The real estate brokers are busy. And there's a lot of properties that are moving hands. 52 new listings came onto the market in our SO-MLS region just today. That gives you an indication of that hot spring market that we've been talking about in the past couple of shows. Also coming up a little later tonight, members of the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District are going to join us for a very pertinent, very key issue in our region right now. We're going to talk about capturing rainwater, the right ways and the proper and legal ways to do it, and how you might be able to augment your water resources on your property with some ways you might not even thought of. Even if you live in a city like myself, there's some ways that you could take some rainwater just right off your roof, store it, and put it to work in your gardens and lawns and wherever you might need it. It'd be a very interesting topic, and we got some local landowners who are putting this practice to work, so we're going to learn some interesting things about them. It's great to have you all along. First off, let me introduce the panel for the first half of the show. Right across from me to my left is Bob Gervais. He's the owner and principal broker at RE/MAX Ideal Brokers, where I hang my license. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks for letting me be here, Joe.
you probably
Welcome, you guys.
You probably had to squeeze out the door with deals and folders flying all around you to get out here tonight.
Well, and I just got back from a couple-week vacation, so you know, when you take a vacation, you pay for it before you leave, and you pay for it when you get back. So, for the last week, I've been scrambling.
Playing a little catch-up. That's always, it's the price you pay for taking a vacation in a hot real estate market. Also with us is Brad Bennington. He's the CEO of the Homebuilders Association of Jackson County. Welcome, Brad.
Howdy, howdy.
We just had some fun out at the expo at the Spring Home Show.
Boy, we did. Wasn't that a nice home show this year?
That was an awesome show, and we had a bunch of really neat vendors that you brought up, and we interviewed on the radio, and then I milled around downstairs and just saw people buzzing over all the things that they saw, and just the neat new things and people they get to talk to and learn things about.
Joe, what a difference between last year to this year. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it really was.
Holy mackerel.
More vendors. I think people were out. I think more homeowners were out getting ready to get on with some spring projects, and bodes very well for the market and moving forward with
oh my goodness,
home
yes.
building. Yeah. So it's a hot market. We are moving homes, we're selling homes, we're building homes. Everything seems to be moving right along. It's almost a banner year kind of unfolding right now. We're seeing inventories remain tight, but prices are still kind of on the move. And Bob, when you got back from vacation, I bet you had a lot of new items on the board at Ideal Brokers.
Well, I would say this is this market here is the strongest it's been since the great real estate recession, if you would.
Right. About 10 years.
And we're starting to move a lot of property. It's not quite as hot as it was when things were real crazy back in 2005 and 6 and so on and so forth. But we're getting right up there. This office here in Medford probably will sell 100 units.
Wow.
This month, to give you an idea. In the fall, typically drops back, and in the early part of the year, it runs at a typically 40 or 45, right, something like that. And for the last several years, it's been like 30 or 35. So we are, I'm not sure that I would use hot market, if you would, but it's definitely cooking for sure.
Yep. Moving a lot of volume, a lot of properties.
And prices continue to appreciate, to continue to rise. And my only fear, of course, is that they rise too rapidly.
Right.
And but there's no sign, Guy's not here just yet, but there's no sign of increasing interest rate or inflation. So we're going to see it, that balloon get a little bit bigger, in the next few months, I would think, wouldn't you, Brendan?
I think so. They used to say even a broken clock is right twice a day. The idea that things eventually come around, and what happened. 10 years ago in 2005, things were hotter than a $2 pistol, and then we know what happened after that. And as Bob has said, things are starting to come around again. And I don't think anybody with half a brain wants them to get as overheated as they did get back in 2004 and 2005, because we don't want the hangover from it.
Yeah.
But the other reality is that internationally, currencies are weak. The dollar, for all the nonsense that we've been through, the dollar is still the strongest currency on the planet. And so the Fed, which of course controls monetary policy, has kept interest rates low. So as long as those interest rates are low and people are looking for places to park their money, real estate, as a matter of fact, American real estate looks really good. So lots and lots of people are saying, you know what, I think I'd like to park some of my money in some of that Southern Oregon real estate, and then they come and see Bob, and away they go.
And yeah, we definitely are seeing some international money starting to come into the country also, because the dollar bill is strong and the real estate market is strong.
Yeah, and even China's economy is having some struggles and kind of going through some growing pains after a big surge that they had. So that's very much to be wary of. Point in case with the appreciation of real estate values. 2 years ago, I was able to list the property across the street from me on Aspen Street, and really nice mid-70s built 2,500 square foot home, 2,300, sold for 186 at about 104 square foot. And now those folks are needing to turn around and sell that property, and we're looking at about 145. They're looking at about 240, 250 in a 2-year span there. I think it's a perfect kind of case in point of the growth that we have experienced. And Southwest Medford lagged behind East Medford and some of the other regions within our region, but it's kind of caught up in the last year, and that's those folks are looking at a 2-year turnaround going, wow, that couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
Well, and way back when, what were we saying? It's time to buy. Now's the time to buy.
Oh my! You were the preacher. You were at the pulpit trying to tell us all to get the faith
People
right
just
now.
go, no, it's going to go lower. I'm going, no. So it's interesting to see how that evolves. It's still a good time to buy. I mean, interest rates are historically low.
Yep. Oh yes.
I mean, I bought my first house and it was 9 3/4, and there were several people that paid 10, 11, 12% interest on loans. So you can still buy a $200,000 house, and it's still cheaper than renting because there are no rentals in this market to speak of right now.
Yep.
They're all rented up.
Yep.
Yeah, the rental market is absolutely slammed.
Vacancy rate 1% or less, even in a lot of cases. It's
So the owners what are they doing? They're raising the rates to meet the market, and now it's just as cheap to own your own home than it is to lease a place.
and to start to build that equity.
We've got something else interesting that's going on that can only go on in 2 other states in the union. But people have different reasons for moving and buying property, and one of the reasons that they now have in Oregon is this interesting phenomena that we created legally, where it's now legal to grow marijuana. And we have people bringing out-of-state money into Oregon for no other purpose than to buy a piece of property upon which they can legally grow marijuana.
Right.
And that is really throwing a monkey wrench in a lot of planning departments and in a lot of city governments. I think there's a good article by Damian Mann in the newspaper today. But on the purchasing side, you've got people bringing out-of-state money into, and of course, Southern Oregon is a wonderful place to grow just about anything.
Anything, yeah.
So you got people bringing out-of-state money into Southern Oregon for no other purpose than to see if they can find places to grow marijuana for profit, which is now legal. Who could have ever seen that one coming?
Let me tell you, the demand for rural property with water right now is very strong.
Very strong. And
very, very strong.
Jeff from our Grants Pass office really brought that out, that they're having a surge in rural sales in the Grants Pass area as a direct result of that.
It's amazing. Anything with the water and you can plant it, people are asking about it,
I'm not going to get in on the boom because I got pretty much a black thumb. I don't grow hardly anything well, so I'll have to leave it to the experts. But
they're saying it's tomatoes. They're growing tomatoes.
They're growing cold hard cash in a lot of cases there, and they're even looking at some vineyards. I mean,
you bet.
Vineyard properties are all set up and are ready and capable to grow, and they've got the money from out of state to come in and just turn those right around and turn them into a new operation. So it'll be interesting to track that as we go along for sure.
Well, going back, apples hit the Rogue Valley about 1905, 1906, and they were strong until the late 1920s, and then the pear crops, took hold, and and then King Comice, those Comice pears for so many years just, ruled the agriculture of Southern Oregon, and then this phenomena of vineyards. Oh my goodness, now we've got vineyards all over the place. And who could have imagined that even beyond the vineyards, there's this other crop that people are interested in now. So, boy, I guess we're lucky to live in a place where things grow so well.
Yeah, and if some real properties out there need to take a look, just get in touch with us. We'll go take a look at them. New homes building continues to stay on a pretty steady growth. The median is coming up a little bit. Are we getting more construction and workers into the trade in our local area? Because I know we've got some demand that we still need to meet there, and that's going to keep us from really taking off if we don't have enough guys to build all the homes that we could.
Yeah. Well, they say in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And in the kingdom of construction, the contractor who has subcontractors is king. Yeah. And that's not a very poetic way of saying what I mean to say is, but Bob and I were talking about the fact that right now, today, we only have 4 workers for every 10 workers that we had 10 years ago. Wow. So we have 60% fewer companies, 60% fewer skilled workers in our marketplace than we had 10 years ago during our heyday.
Quite a purge. Yeah.
And what that means is that we have reduced capacity. Yeah. So even though demand is ticking up, and by golly, it sure is, we're grateful for all the people that want to move here. Right now, we literally can't build houses fast enough to meet demand, and as a realtor, you know that. As a realtor, you've seen your inventories plummet because people are, basically, anything under $300,000 is just gone. Yeah. We just completed our every year we build a project that we build in the community, and we sell it, and we use it to create revenue to do our civic projects with. And this house happens to be in Eagle Point. A beautiful house built by our board member Martinoff, but it's gonna go on the market for about $253,000, and I don't think it's gonna last very long. Just because they're just a couple of years ago, $250,000 would have given you a lot of options, wouldn't it? Yeah. But by golly, there just isn't much out there in a single-family detached dwelling for $250,000 anymore. And it's just going to, as we go down the timeline, I'm afraid for a while, it's just going to be more of the same.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just searching East Medford today for potential rental properties, and anything in that, anything in that 250 range is an older home, basically right now. It's really, 70s are older homes, and 285, 300. I mean, anything that's a little more current has nudged up that high.
Isn't that
something? Anything from like 95 on. I mean, a 20-year-old home is really up there close to the 3s. So it's been a dramatic change.
And what brought this conversation on was that we were talking about real estate sales associates in the marketplace right now. And at one point in time, there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,700 agents in the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, and about 700 agents in the Grants Pass Association. And that number reduced totally down to about 800, roughly, in that neighborhood.
Over half.
Over half.
Yeah.
And a lot of the youth that we had working for us, youth 40 years old, 35, that whole group of folks dissipated because they were just not making enough money in the real estate business to support their families, because basically the sales dried up. And so now the market's starting to heat up, and what happened is all the youth had gone, and there were just a lot of seasoned, very, very seasoned, older real estate agents that were reaching the downside of their career. And so we've made a special effort more recently to look at folks that are good candidates to come into the business to carry the real estate business on in the future. So now's the time, if you're considering a career in real estate, that you really should come talk to us, and we'll talk about some of the advantages you have in a business that we think will last. I know we really haven't talked about this, but I think we're good for 6 or 7 years, wouldn't you say, Brad?
Well, the demand is certainly there. There's some other metrics that are going to have to stay constant. Of course, nobody knows what's going to happen with interest rates and with the money supply, but the demand is there. We've got 40 million people in California, and I'd say on any given day, at least 10 million of them want out. So
They have no water.
yeah, they have, that's the other thing we haven't talked about, is that Oregon has this funny thing called water that they don't have in California much of anymore. So yeah, I think Bob's right. We definitely need to bring our young people in. And one thing I would say, and I wouldn't go out on a limb and tell some young fella or young gal, get into construction and you can immediately become rich. But what I would say is, with a little bit of study and with a little bit of investment in yourself, you could easily get a job that would make you $50,000 to $60,000 a year. Because we really lack these skilled people, tradesmen that we used to have. We've talked about this before, but the average age of a brick mason in the United States right now is 58 years old.
Wow.
That's the average age of a brick mason. And you go by jobs, and unfortunately, a lot of these job sites, you see the guys that look a lot more like me than you see looking like some of our younger people.
So some opportunity there. You're not.
Oh my
You're going to
gosh.
get in. You're going to move up. You're going to learn the trades.
Here's the thing about construction, Joe and Bob. You can't outsource it. There are so many things that you can outsource, but you cannot outsource an electrician. You cannot outsource a plumber. You cannot outsource a concrete finisher. You cannot outsource a drywall hanger.
You can't outsource a real estate agent either.
Or a real estate agent. So here are good paying jobs, skilled jobs that our young people could learn, and we just hope that our partners in the education field will hear our cries for help and start bringing some educational services to the table that will help our young people fill these jobs that desperately need to be filled.
That's very much a mission of the educational effort of a region, is to match with what the region needs and
yes.
create opportunities. And those you're talking about, family wage jobs, about which the prospects on the horizon for kids coming out of college or young adults these days are few and far between in the Rogue Valley, unless you graduate with a high degree and a high level of professional training.
If you took the same amount of effort and endeavor that a young person would put in completing a 4-year college degree and invest that vocationally in learning a skilled trade, I would say that here in Southern Oregon, he would have a better return on his investment than he would pursuing an academic career.
Yeah.
And he'd have a job.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Those college degrees don't always open that door right away, and don't always open that door right to the career or the preparation path that you laid for yourself.
I don't want to mention a company in particular because they might be embarrassed, but I do know a very well-known particular local company who is having so much success, and they can't find the young people here. They are actually importing people from Portland at high wages to do the work that they need to get done.
Yep.
Because they literally can't find the young people here to fill the jobs they have.
Well, that should tell our young people here that the opportunity is there, and
It's here now.
Can they get some information from the Homebuilders Association? How could someone interested maybe hook up with a contractor or get in touch or get the process started?
Have them call me. Okay. I can't tell you how often I get calls practically daily from contractors and other industry people saying, where can we find young people to fill these? Help us fill these positions.
Yeah. Excellent.
We'll train them. Just get us young people, and we'll teach them the work. We need these young people.
And they're out there. We're going to get you hooked up with them. This is the first half of our real estate show. It's our May edition, coming to you live here on May 12th. Going to take a time right out and check in on our PowerPoint display and get you up to date on our MarketWatch statistics. Some of the topics that we've been talking about, try to put some numbers to them, and we'll kind of verify and validate our notions on the real estate show. So if we can get to our first slide. Oh, if I could do a little mouse work. There. Wow. All right. I usually don't have these technical difficulties.
Oh, you'll get it, Joe.
But if you start at the very bottom slide, it doesn't go very far when you ask it to get going. So now we're hooked up again. Hey, RVTV Channel 180 and AFN Channel 9. That's where we come to you live, and the radio show on Saturdays on AM 1440 and FM 106.7. Stats now, looking at a 3-month snapshot, February through April for 2014 to 2015. These are existing home sales. Number of sold properties up, days on the market up as well, and the median price is up there as well. Bob, that's a pretty healthy number for that 3-month snapshot, getting into really kind of the peak season in March and April.
Yeah, well, it just reiterates a short supply and a high demand is going to reflect on a higher price or cost per square foot. So what was running at $110 a square foot or $120 is now $150, $160, and a couple $100 a square foot for a higher end home.
Absolutely.
And we're going to see that in our next slide with our new construction home sales. Median prices ticked up there. The number of sales down a little bit in that 3-month snapshot, but for a 3-month snapshot year to year, that's probably not indicative, Brad, of what the overall sales probably going to do for the year.
Well, keep in mind what we were just talking about, which is the fact that we actually have more demand than we can satisfy right now.
Right.
So our little engine, our little construction engine here in the valley is running almost at red line. Our builders are operating at pretty close to maximum efficiency. And let me tell you something else that's happened is we've had 2 significantly large builders from another market, and this has never happened before. We've got 2 builders that have come down from Deschutes County, very significant builders that are also operating at near maximum capacity with their people. So we've got crews out there operating at maximum capacity, still not keeping up with demand. And the other thing is where our housing market is and you see see how that median price is going up?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what happened. Remember that 72 Chevelle SS that was parked down on the corner, and you drive by it every day and you kept thinking, one of these days I'm gonna ask that guy how much I could buy that thing for, and then one day you drive by and it's gone. Well, that's what's happened to our housing market is people have been kind of sitting on the sidelines and waiting and waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden, kabang, there's just been this feeding frenzy, and now all this housing that was just kind of sitting out there is gone.
Yeah.
So we're building new housing as fast as we can, and what you're going to see 3 months from now, you're going to see that median go even higher.
Yeah.
And it's been my experience, Brad, that if in fact you have a home that you're looking to remodel right now, or some construction work on a pre-sold house, that these contractors are out 2 months, 60 days,
Oh,
90
Bob,
days, 2 months, 3
Bob,
months.
Bob, you're lucky if they're only out 2 months.
Yeah.
We were talking to contractors at the home show that are out 4 and 5 months. And
Wow.
talked to one contractor that was out 6 months on work. So you're absolutely right. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's to create the opportunity for other folks to come in from out of our region and take advantage and get some homes built. And I think the one point to new home sales, though, is I'm seeing the median price of existing homes rise as well. So there's still that ability to buy a new home for the cost pretty close to an existing home and have a brand new home where you put your own design stamps and choices on it.
Well, that special trick that happened, which all that property that went back to the lenders and then the lenders sold it to other developers, we're right at the tail end of that surplus, I shouldn't call it surplus property, but that distressed property. Yeah. We're right at the tail end of that property being utilized. And for those people that are lucky enough and fortunate enough to take advantage of some of those values, those are some of the best real estate values you're ever going to see in your lifetime. Those homes that were built on property that was substantially devalued because of the distress have brand new, perfect homes, never lived in, being built on them at a tremendous discount compared to the actual market. And the people that buy those homes are going to be so happy they did.
Yeah, they're going to see their boats rise.
Oh my gosh, are they ever.
Like you like to say. Rural property sales, under 5 acres, about the same. Big jump in the 5 to 10 acres and the 10 acres and above. And I think that reflects back to our discussion a little earlier, that rural properties are going to be hot items and sought out pretty hotly.
Well, I was talking to, my son goes to Regency University in Denver, Colorado, and he came to visit on spring break here, and he kind of watches. He's going to be a doctor, but he kind of watches the real estate market because that's where he comes from. And all of the big warehouses like they have there, like they have here for the steel and the timber industries, all those big warehouses that were just getting old, and now all those are being bought because they're actually cultivating in those big buildings right now
Inside,
because
indoors.
of the weather.
Oh my.
Interesting.
They're remodeling them all, and they look like new buildings and so on and so forth.
Wow.
I thought, well, that's interesting.
And that, that's Colorado. They don't quite have the temperate growing season that we do in the west side of the Cascades here in the state of Oregon. So that seems like a logical, they're going to get some commercial property boost from the industry.
And it's interesting because I'll give you the flip side. I probably get 3 or 4 calls a day for somebody that's looking for a distribution center of some type, whether it
Sure.
be medical or whatever. And a lot of the owners of these shopping centers and stuff like that, they just, if it's got marijuana in it, they just say no. I'm telling my kids that's not the way I want to see you go, and I'd be shooting myself in the foot if I went ahead and put somebody selling marijuana in my shopping center.
Right,
so
right.
they're saying no to these folks.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to unfold.
Interesting.
Oregon is just coming up and right behind Colorado and Washington to deal with all of these issues. Real property sales are going to continue to be one to keep an eye on. For Jackson County, all homes on the market, pretty close. 2014 to 2015, very few REOs and short sales still in the mix. And foreclosed properties, 72 then, last year, this 3-month snapshot, 72 this year. Median price up a little bit on those distressed properties. We still see them trickling on and coming onto the market.
The difference is go try to find a house that is still standing worth $100,000 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs a foundation or a roof or
Yeah.
something like that. It's not near the quality that was being purchased 3 or 4 years ago. These things are D9 quality, bulldozer quality.
Good plots for new homes to be built on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You buy
well,
that.
what I said there for a while is, for a while people were buying foreclosed BMWs and Mercedes Benzes, and then once those dried up, people started buying foreclosed Toyotas and Hondas, because all the good stuff went the fastest. But there's still a little bit of distressed property making it on the market, and we're going to be going through a transition period, because what Bob has on his side is, for a sale to happen, you got to have a comp. You've got to find something that's going to work for you. And realtors have the flexibility of selling either new or used product. If you're in the new home construction business, we don't have that flexibility. We only sell new product, and we have to sell it for more than it costs us to build it. So, and we've talked about this before, but we're going to be running into a step. Once all these bargain price properties are built out, and they're being built out quickly, we're right at the tail end of it. We're going to have to step up a bench that's going to take some accommodation financially, and I don't think anybody knows what that looks like yet, but it's definitely going to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench. And we're going to see what's going to happen probably, I would say, within the next 12 to 14 months, how we climb that bench.
Well, it's going to be fairly dramatic, as near as I can figure, because, I mean, what does a lot sell for right now? $70,000 to $100,000.
You can find some in the $70,000 to $100,000
and they were
range.
selling for $40,000
and less.
or less.
Yeah, a few years ago, yeah. And they're just going to go more. The EPA has promulgated 20,000 rules in the last 4 years. He says, yeah, we can talk about that.
That's just a ridiculous number.
20. We work with Greg Walden. Greg Walden has been a good friend on trying to maintain, clean air, clean water, but clean air and clean water that still allows people to have jobs where they live. We think jobs are a good thing. But all of these rules and all of these procedures that get layered onto the construction process all cost money, and that's money that we have no choice but to invest in the project, and then we have to pass those costs on to the consumer. So this bench that we're talking about climbing could easily be $100,000 per dwelling.
Wow.
And there's gonna be a reckoning here, and when it gets here, we'll see what it looks like and how we deal with it. But it's gonna be a little bit challenging for a while.
Going to be challenging for our local folks to afford those properties and to maybe make moves, and it's going to make the market more accessible to people who come in with the money to come into the market to those higher prices and come in to settle here in that respect.
Well, and the problem, I think, at the expense of getting political, but I think we're going to get a continuous flow coming from California. And these are people that bought a house for $100,000 and now can sell it for $700,000. And, you know, to them, $100,000 doesn't
That's right.
make a big difference. But you take our youth
Right.
who are trying to make a living
Yeah.
Yep.
and they want to buy a house and they can't find a job that can sustain that kind of house, what
That's
are they
right.
going to do?
Yeah.
Leave.
They're going to leave.
They gotta leave.
They got to leave. And that's another problem all by itself because it's the understructure of what you were talking about in terms of infilling those job needs that you have. They left. They're
Yep.
leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a fairly complicated issue here. That,
I've had some great discussions with Mark Von Holly, who is working on a lot of those issues to
Oh, yeah.
attract companies, attract businesses and family wage jobs, and is working throughout the region now with our county governments and folks to make that happen. So that's going to be a key to our future, and we've tracked that pretty closely on the Real Estate Show. Hang on one second. Alex, do we have our guest for the second segment ready to go? Do we know? Guests are good to go. Thank you. Got to thank you guys for great MarketWatch. Bob Gervais and Brad Bennington, thank you for being here tonight.
I've got to get in a plug for our benefit golf tournament. Benefit golf tournament coming up.
just gonna ask you if you had
June
anything
12th.
left.
Yeah. We had a fantastic home show, but our benefit golf tournament, this is our 21st annual tournament. Our beneficiary this year is Redemption Ridge. Redemption Ridge supports victims of human trafficking, which is also known as sex trafficking. It's a fantastic tournament. We've still got a few slots left, so give us a call and get a team signed up. It's a wonderful event and a wonderful cause.
Yeah, Caleb LaPlante and Terry Rasmussen are doing some great work with that
Absolutely.
organization and really deserve the support. And hey, I got a swinger for you right here, right next
Right
to you.
here, yeah.
You got his entry yet, because Bob was.
we've supported that.
Bob's been a good friend for a long time.
Oh
in that
yeah,
tournament.
and he was just telling me he's looking to get a few things off his plate and get some more golf balls teed up. So there's a chance. The dates on that again are
June 12th, just around the corner.
12. Excellent. Homebuilders Association of Jackson County and RE/MAX Ideal Brokers. Thank you guys for being with us and for another good market watch. And we'll do it again next month. Right now, we'll take a quick time out. And we've got some information coming up from the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District on rainwater collection, how to do it right. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Estate Show. We are live here on May the 12th. It's a Tuesday night, coming to you from the Digital Media Center here at Southern Oregon University. My name is Joe Brett, hosting the program in the second half tonight, and we're welcoming our partners from the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District and a couple of guests that they've brought to the program tonight to educate us on rainwater collection and the right ways to do it, the proper and legal ways to do it, and how that might be a great benefit to your property and your enterprise if you have a small farm or a property that you work or irrigate with. So let me introduce the panelists joining us tonight. Lori Tella is from the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District. Lori is the urban and community planner for JSWCD and a regular on the program. Welcome back, Lori.
Thanks.
Good to have you aboard, and I know you've got great information for us because we've talked rainwater gardens, and I'm supposed to have one at my house, and I don't yet. We'll continue to work on that. I've threatened for a couple of years now. Elizabeth Tobey is next to Lori. Welcome, Elizabeth. She's the owner of Squawking Hawk Acres and currently involved in a big project on the topic we're going to talk about tonight. Welcome.
Thanks.
We'll look forward to you sharing your experience because I think that inspires a lot of people to have the vision to see what they may be able to do with their own property and the benefits that might come from working with these great folks that you get to collaborate with. And also with us is Travis Kelley. He's the water master for Jackson County, working for the state of Oregon. So welcome to you, Travis.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of good secrets and tips for us tonight. You're the one that's going to keep us out of trouble tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
In the way that we're going to try to collect rainwater and wastewater and how to properly store and use that and do that within the terms of Oregon law for water rights and things like that. All those things we want to stay on the straight and narrow with.
There you go.
Lori, kind of frame our discussion a little bit of the efforts locally, and I know just from meeting these folks now, it's growing and more people are becoming involved and kind of aware of what the potential is.
Yeah, so at Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District, we get all the calls for conservation issues that are going on in the valley. So I get a lot of different calls. So my finger's on the pulse of the community, and it really seems like water is on everyone's minds. Yeah. And rainwater, water from the sky is certainly one of those topics that we're exploring.
And Travis, as the water master, those are the hot item issues that you deal with on a daily basis. So give us a little background about your job, how it works, and how you interface and work with citizens to stay abreast of these issues.
Yeah, so I work for the Oregon Water Resource Department, and that's a statewide agency that is charged with the responsibility of regulating the use of water of the state of Oregon. So all water, both surface and groundwater, is a state resource, and you have to have a water right to use the water. When we talk about rain harvesting, that scenario, if done correctly, falls into one of these finite categories of uses of water that are allowed without a water right, or commonly referred to as exempt from state law.
Interesting. How did you get into this line of business and this line of work?
Oh, you know, a couple lucky days of my life. So I went to SOU. I graduated with a geology degree and another degree in environmental studies. Excellent. And I worked as a seasonal hydrotech with the Water Resource Department. And being in the right time, the right place, the right attitude, worked my way up to water master. I've been the assistant water master for 4 years, and then the water master for the last 2 years.
And that was through SOU here?
That's where I got my start, is in the geology department.
We love those success stories because there are a lot of opportunities that created for undergraduates that lead to those opportunities like you have. So, with all this great knowledge that you've gained and experience, tell us about rain harvesting and kind of what we're talking about.
Okay.
And how we can do it well and do it right.
Perfect. Yeah. So the real where the tire hits the road on this scenario is that to capture rainwater in a legal manner, you have to capture it before it touches the natural Earth surface. So off of any artificial impermeable surface, that water is yours to do with what you will. So that you have to capture the water before it touches the natural surface, and then impound it through a closed system. So that's real generic and cut and dry.
Right.
Things that are not allowed are gravel roads, are not artificial. You know, other man-made things have to be used to capture the water before it touches the ground.
Interesting. And are there different methods? And
the most common one is your roof.
Right.
Driveways also would qualify if they're made of asphalt or concrete or something else impermeable.
And catchment systems for those, I would imagine, are.
You just build it in, you would drain it into a swale that would then be a pipe system to your catch basin.
Who is the agency, I'm guessing you and the state are, that are responsible for regulating that?
So again, when we talk about regulating it, it is, if done with that guide of saying capture it off an artificial impermeable surface before it touches the natural Earth surface, that is operating exempt of state law. So otherwise you need a water right for storage of surface water. So it's kind of this nuance of the water cycle that all streams originate as a part of snow melt or rainfall.
Right.
But if you capture that water before it touches the ground, you can utilize Lori's services to design a well-intended functioning system that you'll be able to store that water and then use it when it's not available naturally in the summer months.
I get it while you can before it hits that natural surface, and it's yours to keep and store. And we've talked, Lori's going to tell us about some of the opportunities, and we're going to talk about a local project that's underway right now. How about stock water? What is stock water?
Stock water is just a generic term for water that is diverted from any source for the intent of watering livestock, cattle, sheep, chickens, the like. So when we talk about rain harvesting, if you follow those guidelines, capture the water before it touches the earth's surface from something artificial and impermeable, that water is up for any use you would like to put it to. So when we talk about other exempt uses of surface or groundwater, stock water also falls in that category.
Interesting.
So anyone living rurally generally has a well, and you can fill troughs for stock watering as an exempt use.
Wow.
Also from surface waterways, if you have legal access, your livestock can drink from the waterway itself with no water right required.
Right. Interesting, and I thought mostly of, I think, agricultural uses, but for your livestock as well. For a number of uses there, and it's all to your benefit. It's saving you from actually having to pump the water or getting your water rights. It's it's a
So that being
great
said,
resource.
every water issue usually has some sort of niche application to the property, and with regards to where it's located, the water rights, their nuances. So people, if they have questions, concerns, or want more information, please contact me directly at my office. My phone number is 541-774-6880.
People should write that down, because that was my next question, was where can they get the information? I'm sure people are going to have questions and want to get to the information and make sure that they do it right.
So,
And JSWCD can help with that as well.
yeah, and then if you like the internet better, Oregon.gov will also get you to our website that has all the state laws and how to contact your local water master.
Fascinating reading there, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, 150 years of it.
It's quite a story. We do have a little video I'd like to roll right now, and it just kind of gives us some visuals, I think, that go with rainwater harvesting. The laptop and I have not been greatest friends tonight. I think we're on the go there. So what is that? Holy smokes. Is this the tank? This is not at your place, is it?
No, this
That's
is
not.
No.
Yeah, this is another landowner that we've got putting in a tank. This particular issue is for erosion. So tanks are put in for a lot of different reasons. And this landowner wanted to water a garden, but also was experiencing some erosion issues. So yeah, they use this to conserve water and to also stop some erosion problems.
Higher quality of water, rainwater's free. It's the only option for some people that they might have. So really, size of that tank right there, I think gives you an idea of just how much rainwater could be captured. And as we take a look at some of the systems there, yeah, there's some pretty good capacity, pretty good storage capacity in those.
You can see how they're just evolving to just blend right into the home. There's so many different models and styles out there. The general rule is for every square foot of roof surface, if you get an inch of rain, you can capture almost a half gallon.
Wow.
So over a 1,000 square foot roof, it rains an inch, you're going to have 640 gallons. And that will water a yard for a week, you know, a small garden for a week. So if you start storing over the summer, you really can supplement your water.
And how many, about how big are the gallon capacity of those big tanks that we see?
That's about 4,000.
4,000.
Yes, Elizabeth's project is a bit bigger, actually.
Really? That's going to be fun to learn about. So they look like they can adapt to the size and the need that you have. Some very small ones in there too that are probably up with your urban planning. These are the types that I might see in my property.
Yeah, folks usually start with a rain barrel, so something as small as 55 gallons goes for $20. You can get something like that installed, just real simple, and you know, gets you hooked. It's starting to get involved with water and realizing how much you use and really getting a handle on water conservation. And usually the first step is conserving water in your home and conserving it in your lawn. And once you've done everything you can, converting your lawn to xeriscape, you know, reducing your practices, then you can talk storage, especially if you have poor water or not enough water.
How busy are you getting? We first talked a couple, 3 years ago, when you were first coming in as the urban planner and just started to get people educated and excited. Are we seeing more and more people become aware, take advantage of the program?
There are, yeah, it's definitely growing, and I feel like we've got a lot of good demo projects. People are willing to share their experience. So yeah, it's rolling, and our, we work closely with the cities, and the cities are enrolling programs for water conservation as well. So partnering with the cities has been really good too.
City of Ashland is doing extensive drought planning again this year. I peek in on their council meetings because we televise them here. And I know they're very proactive and had a limited water supply. They just got the tap line from Medford last year that's going to help them augment that. So that's, we're in a pretty water-rich area, but not every area of our region can say that necessarily.
Right, so they're converting from lawn to water-wise gardening, and we can definitely, if there's a program available at my office, we try to point you into the direction of that program.
For this, just got an update. Let's take a peek at that. Actually, it may be hard for me to find it live going through the thumb drive, but hang with me, folks. Which one was it?
SHA, it's Squawking Hawk Acres, that's my property.
Thanks, excellent.
So any property owner can basically call the conservation district and if they have a conservation question, they can talk to us and we'll point them in the direction. They can also go through the planning process like Elizabeth did, and they begin to look at all the different options and talk about all the different solutions. So rain harvest is definitely one, but there's also gray water. There's a lot of really new techniques out there to help people with water conservation.
Let's focus on Squawking Hawk Acres because we've got our video all lined up. And Elizabeth, Tobey, you're the owner. Tell us a little bit about your operation and your property there, what you do, and how you got involved with the project to be able to sit here with us today and tell us how much you've done with it.
Sure, yeah. Well, Squawking Hawk Acres is my home, and I live there with my partner and a couple of friends, but it's more than just our home. We're really working to make it a permaculture and homesteading demonstration site and education site. And so as we are making changes to it, to the land, we're really working to involve the community and share our experience as we're learning about all these practices so that others can hopefully be inspired and educated along with us to make some changes and to try some of these things out for themselves too. So.
What types of things do you do with the community, or how do you get them involved and out there to be part of it?
Yeah, well, we host a lot of community events. We have just gatherings. We host, we've been hosting a documentary movie night series over the winter. We do a lot of work parties. So most of the projects that have happened, like this rainwater harvesting project in particular, we hosted a series of work parties and had people from the community coming out and helping us with the work. So getting really hands-on with the project and working on pieces of the project along the way with us. So
there's some outstanding synergy of our family farms and our smaller agricultural interests. It's a booming industry, and it's only going to continue to grow with the GMO ban in the county. It was kind of paved the way for that. So it sounds like you've got a small community really
Absolutely.
that's involved in working together on the project.
Yeah, I feel really grateful for the people in this area and the enthusiasm. I think a lot of people are interested and want a chance to come and be involved in these types of things and see what we're doing. So.
Boy, it's got to be infectious too. Once they are involved in a project like yours, they can see the benefits for their own property. It probably snowballs a little bit, gets them excited, start to see the vision as well.
I hope so.
It is. She did a permaculture class as well out there, and so her first step for this project was to look at all the site alternatives, and they designed the entire farm from start to finish, and she did it as a class.
Yeah, we really did. I had Siskiyou Permaculture out, and they led this 3-day class, and we were really focusing on water, all the different water systems on our property. And out of that, and through Siskiyou Permaculture is how I met Lori and got involved with the district. And then Lori helped me through the planning process that she mentioned, and was able to apply for a grant and get some help funding this rainwater harvesting project. So. And
we tell people all the time what an outstanding resource that JSWCD is in our region, and this is a real life experience that I'm glad you made that connection, because they connect through so many different groups and agencies to people. And once that conversation started, how long did it take to get some grant funding to do the planning for the whole process, kind of get to where it's at now?
Well, it went pretty quickly actually, from originally meeting Lori and doing the walkthrough and talking about the project. We really were motivated to start working on putting in this water catchment project. So we spent maybe less than a month really kind of putting together the grant proposal, but of course, we'd been looking at our site and the larger design for months before that. So we had material that we came to the process with, but really the grant proposal was fairly quick. And that was approved in November. And so we started, end of November, and we started work in December.
Wow.
So yeah, we've been working all winter on it.
Go right to it.
How big is your tank?
We just put in 2 5,000-gallon tanks.
Wow.
So we have 10,000 gallons of catchment available.
How many square foot of roof space do you have?
Our roof is close to 3,000 square feet. So really, those 2 tanks are only capturing about 2/3 of what we would potentially be able to catch off that roof surface.
Right.
So
you've studied the average rainfall and
absolutely,
yeah, you got
15
that
to
all
18
dialed
inches a
in.
year.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And so you get 10,000 gallons of water.
We have the capacity to store that.
Yeah.
Yes. Once we hook up the gutters. We just got the tanks delivered yesterday, actually. So our last step is to hook the gutters up to the tanks.
Let's take a peek at the video that we have here.
Sure.
And take you out to Squawking Hawk Acres. I like your address sign just to start with right there.
Thanks.
And how do we get Squawking Hawk?
Well, it's named for the hawks that live there. One of the first days that I was out at the property, I was just walking around getting a feel for the land, and one of these hawks flew over, squawking, and I thought, well, I guess this land belongs to them.
No.
No.
There we go. Yeah, they were probably here first.
They were, I think, yeah, absolutely. So all of this, I think, is a process of learning about the land where we are and how best to work with it, all the creatures that are there.
If you've ever heard the hawks let loose, they have a pretty good squawk. So tell us what we're seeing.
Let's see. This is actually day 1. So that's me and our crew of people that showed up for our groundbreaking day. And we, at that point, had just laid out the area that we were going to dig. Of course, we decided to put in this system, and we really went for the biggest system we could to start with. You know, in retrospect, maybe we should have put in a little 55-gallon rain barrel to start and get our feet wet, but we went for it. And we were dealing with, in this site at the end of our house, we were dealing with putting the tanks in on a slope, which added a challenge. So we actually ended up needing to build a retaining wall to create a level foundation for these tanks to sit, which you'll see. So really this first day we were just starting to clear the area and dig out a trench for the foundation.
Little retaining wall, this just got to be a bigger project, yeah.
It turned out to be a much bigger project, I think, than we originally imagined. Absolutely. We actually did end up going through the county and obtaining a building permit for it because of the size and scale and the aspect of needing to put in this retaining wall. So there's our concrete. I lifted
Big
more
wall.
bags of concrete than I cared to think about. There we go. Borrowed a cement mixer and poured this pretty substantial concrete footing. The retaining wall is only maybe 3 feet high, but to level this whole area and fit the tanks in there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start with a rain barrel at home because I'm not a very good cement mixer, and you've got people that look fairly confident.
I can assure you we were learning as we went.
But that's part of the fun of, taking on a project that is going to benefit your property. There's a little bit of elbow grease, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Has to go into it.
Absolutely. We've just been learning along the way. It's been a really great project for that, and I feel grateful that we've been able to share it with the community and have people learn. So there's those tanks.
And there's the wall.
And the wall.
That was no small wall.
The finished wall.
Level it right out, though, and yeah, that's beautiful.
It turned out really good.
How long did that take, that whole process?
Well, I think we had that first digging groundbreaking day that you saw the footage of in January, and so we've just kind of been working away at it since then. And the tanks, like I said, just got delivered yesterday. So it's taken us a little longer than we originally wrote in our proposal to Lori, but there's just been things that we couldn't have predicted that we've been working with. But it's been a really great process.
Now, what do you do with all that rainwater? What's the future hold?
Well, it's amazing because when you look at those tanks and you think that they're huge, but when you look at the amount of water and the irrigation needs for a property, it goes really quickly. So that for us right now, that is really going to be supplemental irrigation for use like on the shoulder season before and after the Talent Irrigation District water is available. we'll use it a lot for seed starting. We grow a lot of our own food. We have a big vegetable garden, and we're working to expand that. And rainwater is the best thing for plants. I mean, surprise, that's what they like to grow on. So, so we'll be using it a lot for our seed starting, for our gardens, and then supplemental irrigation, and then just having emergency water supply as well on hand.
What kind of savings or maybe benefits or profit maybe could even be generated by this additional water, additional seedlings? I mean, is it significant?
Potentially.
Yeah, significant potential there. And
yeah, I suppose so. We haven't really looked into it in terms of the market, value, but there might be a seed business
I'm a
in the
realtor,
future.
so yeah, poke around with engines like that.
It's certainly for the land. I think it's going to be a really valuable.
And for your property value, should you ever?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably won't. But
I think
yeah.
it's something that this is something that people are going to be looking at and seeing the value of
Absolutely.
more in their homes. So.
What a success story. Yeah.
Hi, I'm really glad to work with people like this. It's wonderful to meet people like Elizabeth that are just so engaged with the community, and they just, I mean, she's probably taught a dozen more people about the ability to catch and store water and be responsible stewards. So after this water goes through her property, it's actually got a great system of passive rain catchment, so rain gardens and bioswales. And so the water is actually recharging, which is the point of rain harvest. You beneficially release it so that it's not coming off fast, it's not flooding, it's not going to the ocean, it has a chance to get back into the ground. And so when the water is done, she releases it back in, it sinks through, it slowly recharges the stream, and and her well. So that's the kind of system I can visualize all across the entire state of Oregon. You could really start capturing this on a citywide scale, providing opportunity to get the water back into the ground where it belongs, instead of on the hot pavement covered with pollution.
And just washing it all into our streams and ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Very good stuff. And Travis, you've got to love that water is going to be even more resource and more in demand as our state grows, and more agricultural demands on our lands and things like that. So we've got to be wise about our practices this way.
Yeah, I think it really brings home the conservation ethic that's going to really empower people to realize what they can do with their own will and investments of their own time and money to benefit themselves and their community.
Wow. Be interesting to keep an eye on it, because we are moving forward with more and more people who are trying to make a living off the land, and or at least buy their property because they want to enjoy the benefits of some room to grow some things and have animals and all those kinds of things. So these are going to be really pertinent topics, people going forward.
Well, we're also doing some nitrate testing, so we're offering folks find nitrate in their wells. So poor water quality, we're offering free testing. You can find that on our website, but I know that's been one of the drivers too, is good water quality. And so you can use this as an alternative drinking source as well. So if you bring it up to standards for potable water, you can filter it to drinking level. So
really good stuff. We're out of time, but we could talk a lot further about this. Maybe we will again sometime. Good luck with Squawking Heart Farms and with your work, Travis and Lori. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being with us tonight and for sharing your story. It's a really interesting one, and I know more and more people are going to be moving that direction, are going to benefit from the knowledge that you shared tonight and know what they're up against when they take on a big project like that. Good work, y'all. Thank you for joining us, and thanks to our student crew here tonight under the direction of Evan. We're glad to have you for the Real Estate Show. We'll be back on June 9th. Will be our next live show here from the DMC. Until then, have a great month, and we'll see you then.